I have not done one of these videos in a long time, or made any videos actually, besides a couple streaming things in forever. A lot of reasons why. It's kind of waiting for the right time to start doing it again. Um, that'll be another story for another day. Uh, I'm making this one today just because like I've been kind of annoyed and I've been thinking about like making videos about like things I just want to ramble on, uh, get my thoughts out there since there are a few people who still pay attention. Um, and I had like was kind of thinking like, oh, I should figure out how to do video editing and stuff and all that stuff because classically my videos have been very poorly, if at all, edited. Um, Mostly because of lack of technology options and time. Even though those problems are mostly solved now, I still haven't gotten around to figuring out how to use them properly. So in the meantime, I figured I want to speak on this. It'll take me weeks probably otherwise. And um, since my theme has always kind of been shitty editing, I might as well embrace it. So there it is. Anyways, the thing I was wanting to talk about was this whole like honey scam thing that's coming about, or it's been like popular on YouTube now, or everywhere, whatever. Uh, Not the part though that everyone else is talking about. So it's like this big deal, like, oh my god, it's a fucking scam. And everyone's so shocked and surprised, like, oh wow, how could it have been? A lot of influencers, especially those who took sponsorships from them, are very, oh no, the heart. Uh, the part that's shocking to me is that there's so many people who are shocked. Um, I can't remember the first time I saw somebody mentioning honey because it was something so out of my mind that I didn't care about. But I remember the moment that I heard about it, I was like, "This is bullshit. Like, why would anybody install this?" And I'm honestly, I didn't even know it was that popular of a sponsor. Um, I just assumed that it was just some like bullshit supplement or like all these other there's so many sponsoring companies on YouTube. They're just garbage, uh, which is also kind of interesting because though I'll talk about it more again later. If anybody who really has followed me all these years, and God bless you if you're still around, you might know that I've never been big on advertisements. Um, a lot of my videos don't even have like pre or post roll stuff. Uh, and I've even turned a lot of that off over the years on stuff that did have it. But one of the things that kind of like stopped me from going a lot of places on YouTube was I had no interest in dealing with sponsorships or putting any more advertisements than I absolutely had to. And of course, if you don't do that, you can't make money, and then so forth. So my attention to this whole honey thing was always like very passive. I just thought it was some random bullshit. But finding out that like, oh, they've been paying so much money, and actually are all these influencers took their sponsorships, were promoting it, and then are not shocked. It's like that was the thing that was surprising to me. And I've been like making comments on random videos I've been watching the past few days about this, but it's like I must. I started to think to myself, like, am I like really that fucking old? Because I remember, like, in the '90s and early 2000s, like, which I'm clearly aging myself now, but again, my YouTube channel doesn't on its own. But the fucking there were these things existed before, these browser extensions that would make you money or save you money or like I remember there being countless ones back in the day. Like especially like when like Netscape was still a thing. Again, aging myself. Uh but like they had such a poor reputation, especially like, a lot of them came with malware or themselves basically acted like malware. Um allowing ads in general to display back then was like less than ideal because they weren't nearly as moderated as they are now. Used to be where like people could literally just go through Google Ads to get it in the early days, anyways. You used to be able to just like display stuff that could actually download shit to your computer. Um, it's actually I think some of the stuff used like Flash and all that, which is partially why I think they shut it down, kind of all over the place there. But yeah, so these aren't new. Like, I think what happened is just like, at a certain point in time, once like the Web 1.0, 2.0 transition was happening, a lot of people just, I think maybe browser security got better. People were more aware of these sort of things, and they just fell out of style. Maybe they never made much money to begin with. I don't really know. They always seemed to be kind of produced by shady companies back then, anyways. If it was a company, but yeah, like there were these things. Like some of them would like put ads in like the top of your browser, and you'd get like paid for looking at them. I believe there are ones that replaced ads with their own because apparently there's like this other extension called Pi, which is made by the same people as Honey that does like the same. So that's like even but like the whole coupon thing, like I swear to God, there must have been something. I know coupons weren't that big in the day, what I'm talking about. And there definitely wasn't like, the whole YouTube sponsorship code, use my code at checkout, save thing. But like referral codes did exist back then. And I'm fairly certain there was at least one app or one extension. Because some of them weren't even like actually browser extensions. They were usually like programs you downloaded to Windows, and they ran on Windows and then like interacted with the browser or something. But again, this is like so long ago, and it was something that I had mostly just like written off to like, oh, they'll never come back. Whoops. I have a tendency to fucking overthink things, and apply too much logic to stuff. Anyways, so yeah, like these things were there, and they're just fucking shit. Like it was the kind of stuff that like, growing up back then, like you'd be like fixing off of your grandparents' computers if they had one, or like your parents if they weren't really tech savvy and you kind of happen to be, or like friends, at school. Like that was the shit that we'd be removing. Because like I was one of those dudes who was like always my friend's like tech support buddy. Like their computer goes wrong, like hey, help me reinstall Windows, help me fix this. Um, that's the kind of shit we'd be removing. Or like if somebody took their computer into a shop back then. And I guess this is also probably before smartphones and stuff too. So, it was, but yeah, like that was like a lot of the times, there used to be like this thing. I don't know if anyone's familiar, but like you used to have to reinstall Windows every so many months, just because it would eventually just start breaking down. And those kind of programs were usually a large contributor to that, if they ever made it onto your computer. And a lot of times, sometimes it'd come packaged with another thing. You download some freeware app or something like that, and it'd come packaged with another program because they got like a commission from it. And then of course, like a lot of them would eventually like display like porn at some point, because that's how the porn companies used to kind of operate back then when it was like all under, well, fun fact, by the way, most of the original pop-up ads were porn related, and that's where that started, before it became more of a, just everything. Anyways, yeah, well, this shit was grungy, and it was like, just sort of relegated to a part of like old shitty web history. And now it's like back because I guess the new generation, admittedly wouldn't have much reason to know about that, but it's still like, shocking to think that somehow the impression of that changes, especially at this point when it's like, we already know the price of free stuff, right? Like I thought that was kind of established. Like we know Facebook isn't really free. We know YouTube really isn't free, and all the ways that they kind of like sell our data, harvest our data, fuck us over, expose our shit on the internet. That's why hackers are able to fucking get your passwords and stuff because some website somewhere ends up leaking it eventually, even if they didn't originally have it. It's like this whole big fucking mess. So, or your data of some kind that just allows people to scam you. Anyways, like I'm even if there's this large group of people, and obviously there is, who weren't around for to see this part of the internet. Like, why would you think suddenly out of nowhere the companies that come putting millions of dollars or billions into these sponsorship deals and advertising everywhere and doesn't have like something significant to gain from it? And on top of that, like, what company do you really know anymore that doesn't like somehow fuck over customers or like anybody who interacts with it? Like, I find it incredibly difficult nowadays to interact with anything larger than like some small, like less than like a literally small business type deal where like, okay, it's like 5, 10 people run it. It's really hard to find like any large corporation that has millions in the bank and shit to do this sort of stuff that doesn't suck ass. Like in some way or another. It's like I thought about taking like a diary at one point and just like writing it down, but then like when I did, I felt like I was a crazy person because there's so much shit in it, and it's hard to make sense of it without like screenshots and video recordings and stuff. Um, and then eventually, at a certain point, I started to see like other people mentioning these things. Like one of the things was like just how fucking shitty Google is nowadays to use. How impossible it is to search for anything that isn't like some AI generated article or clickbait 10 list that's top 10 list that's like fucking completely useless. Uh, anyways, oh, I hope this is easier to follow than it sounds like I'm making it right now. But I was just like so blown away. Like, oh yeah, no, this thing is somehow going to find coupons. I mean, has anybody like tried to like Google those coupon sites before? Because they're pretty fucking shitty too. And to me, it was like, why would I want that as a browser extension? I'm pretty sure some of those coupon sites have browser extensions actually. I would not fucking put one of those on any of my browsers at all. Like, I don't want them fucking reading what's on my screen. And also too, like, why people are saying like, oh, they didn't think Honey was doing anything nefarious. Like, in what world? Like, at the very least, wouldn't you at least assume that it's like collecting the data of what you're purchasing, where you're purchasing from, how much you're spending, the time of day, all these things that we kind of are annoyed that Facebook and all these other companies do without our permission? Like, it, was it the idea that like the coupon made up for it or something? And here's the other thing too. Apparently, I have never used Honey, right? Because me, at the moment I saw this, I was like, fuck this shit. And like, I'm not going to install this fucking spyware on my computer. I would have figured it would have, I mean, and my memories too, I'm like, this might even be fucking malware. Like, they might have just figured out a way to do that. Even though that's far less common now. Oh yeah, so okay, I had to pause to collect my thoughts. It's like, why would you think that's like a good idea? Also, like, okay, so the thing with the coupon, like, if somebody's used it, right? A lot of people are surprised about the whole thing that it doesn't give you the best coupons. That it's really just like the coupons that the website that signed up to use it is offering. And if they didn't sign up to use it, then Honey doesn't like find any, even if they actually exist out there, right? I would have assumed that, my first assumption was like, okay, like those coupon sites, most of them just won't work because they're submitted by people and they submit shitty ones or one, they don't know how to describe them properly. It doesn't actually apply for the whole website or something like that. or maybe they get found out because suddenly the coupon use rises, or the website owner finds out that like this coupon is now on the site, so they deactivate it and create a new one. Any of those things. Like I would have expected like, oh, there'd be like a lot of errors, right? From what I've seen from the examples, it doesn't seem to be a thing. Or maybe it was like people assume that's what it was checking when it like does this like fake check to use coupons thing. And I'm watching like the recordings of this happen. Again, I don't really want to fucking use this just to find out. And I'm not here to do like an investigation. I'm just, being annoyed at people. But I'm like, okay, so would when anybody used it, did like it ever come up with like a YouTuber's like sponsorship link for a discount code? Like, I think one of the best ways to have like tested if this was legit, like again, if I were to have bothered trying to use it before, was go to something like Display, something that like sponsors YouTubers like every fucking day, and use it on a checkout and see like if it comes up with a YouTuber's code, or if it comes up with like 50 of them all at once, because there can't be just one at any given time. Like there has to be like hundreds who are currently active stuff. I mean, because every time I've seen it, it's like usually a few days or a week, right? Or like a month. Use my link at a Display, get this, much off. But like, why wouldn't Honey be showing these things? I could not imagine anybody's ever seen that. That would be because it would be such a weird thing to see, like, Honey showing a YouTuber's link, and also feel like I would have seen that happen in all these videos and examples of this thing working. I haven't seen that. Maybe somebody who's watching this has used Honey, can tell me. But like, or if you still have it, like please test that out and leave a comment, and I'll definitely like read it and respond. Because I'm like, in all these years, did that never once happen and nobody thought that was somewhat suspicious? Or was it actually happening and, I just haven't seen that. But again, like the whole thing, if the websites are controlling the coupon codes, then how could that have happened, right? Like they would not have allowed any of those sponsorship links or coupons to show up, because those are usually the best ones. I mean, I usually like get rid of all that kind of spam junk, but like occasionally there are a few websites that I get like coupon codes from. They go through the filter, or I just haven't gotten around to unsubscribing from them yet. Generally speaking, if I see a coupon code from a website that also does like YouTube sponsorships, the sponsorship coupons or discounts are always better than the coupon codes, because the coupon codes have a wider reach. Like, you get like an email from their website, like they already kind of have you in their net, right? So why would they give you like the best discount to pull you back in? They know you're already going to come five. You want to give the best discount to somebody who you think is unfamiliar with your stuff. Once they're around, it's like, yeah, you want to give them like something to keep coming back, but you're trying to make money off of them in the long run. So it doesn't really benefit you to give them steep discounts on your own like internal newsletters or the most visible ways, because you take a bigger hit. I mean, it's almost like you can almost make a supply and demand, sort of logic with it. Like, if a coupon code is going to be used by more people, it has to be a lower discount. If it's going to be used by a smaller group of people, it'll be a better discount. I mean, that's why there's like, Reddit groups and shit for coupons, and those coupon websites even exist. It's harder to find the good ones. So does it really that like all these millions of people installed this fucking extension, that all these influencers who say that they used it, that was the one that got me. It's like, okay, I can kind of make a sort of, I can like imagine like just the random like invisible person out there, the statistically most likely to use this app, is the least likely to think about these things. But even that seems like such a harsh judgment on people, like, because one could say, oh, well, nobody who installed this app is smart because it'll get scammed. But it's like, but really, I think a lot of people just don't have fucking time, and they're just trying to look for, something to say, it seems like convenience. All right, supports this influencer, great, whatever. Don't really think twice about it. But like for an influencer who's like, oh, you're getting paid to at least give it a passing glance. And I know some people bullshit and say, oh, I use this when they really don't. But there are some people who I've seen talk about this who seem to be, from at least my impression over time, a little bit more reliable in what they say. And I've thought in the past that I could take them more at like face value when they say stuff like this. And also because, they don't see them taking certain sponsorships. They do seem to have at least some selective nature to what they're taking money or who they're taking money from. So seemed to make sense, right? But like for these guys to be like, oh, no, I used the app and didn't find me this guy. Like, you didn't notice that it wasn't giving YouTube sponsorship links? Like, you're in this world. I barely know about this shit because, again, I've never taken sponsorship deals, so I don't really have like any inside knowledge as to this. The most I've ever gotten is like a bunch of fucking emails from people who I've, up to this point refrained from responding to in any way, though at some point I was like, what if I just told these people to fuck themselves? Because they wouldn't be expecting it. And also because I'm tired of getting this, like, any additional spam. I get so many emails, it's already like, this is a nightmare trying to deal with it. And not even from like important stuff, just because of all the fucking accounts that I've had on the internet over time, it just builds up. It's not like I'm popular or anything. It's like old bots. But was that kind of sad? A little bit. So point being, how the fuck does that slip through like everybody's gaze? Like, this was like one of the most obvious fucking things to me. And I know I'm kind of old, but I'm not like over 40 yet. I'm not that fucking old. Like, I did, I wasn't even one of the first people on YouTube. Like, there are other people doing YouTube shit before me. So it wasn't even like I'm Gen Zero YouTuber. I mean, like, I started uploading this account in like 2011-ish, 2010 maybe. And then I had like another one, which was like a couple years before that. So that account was a little bit closer, but like that was just like bullshit. Like you wouldn't even know it was mine. But like for real, some of these people, I know, okay, this is the thing, right? And I hate to like, well, okay. I'm not naming people who videos I've seen, right? Because the people I'm about to say, I haven't seen their videos, so there's like a difference between the people I was just talking about and the people I'm about to talk about. But like, okay, I know like Linus from like Linus Tech Tips, Ethan from like He, and that's what I'm calling it, and fucking who else? There's at least one other person that I knew took one of those deals that was a popular YouTuber when I fucking started. So, and they're like my age, right? They have to be. I'm assuming. Like, I know they're not that much younger or older than I am. And how do those people not fucking know? Like, you were on the internet at the same time I was, weren't you? Or am I like really such a standout person for like, being in my age group and having internet in the 90s to at least some some degree? And other people had dial-up too. I know dial-up is a thing that people remember. I know people remember fucking floppy disks. It's like, why don't you remember this shit? That was around the same time. I mean, if you fucking played like Doom or Doom 2, on fucking DOS, that was before these extensions. So like, why the fuck wouldn't you like kind of remember that? I mean, it was all over the fucking place. And I remember too, like there was that appeal. Like I tried probably a couple of them back in the day and was like, yeah, I kind of want to fucking earn money just for like letting my computer run. Or, I mean, that was actually a thing. So people think like the crypto thing was like the first time it was ever like, oh, you could just use your computer and money. It's like, no, those extensions and little ad programs you downloaded were actually the version before that. I don't know if there was something that preceded even that, but I know that was um, those things were before crypto. Because when crypto came around, I was like, oh, hey, this idea again. But it actually seemed to be a little bit more sensical with at least the Bitcoin stuff, though. Uh, you know, I never really got into that. Well, that's the story for another day. I'm gonna fucking get distracted and ramble about everything because there's a bunch of shit that's been on my mind. Anyways, so yeah, this fucking honey thing, I don't get it. I don't get the shock of other people that this is a fucking scam, that this would be nefarious in some way, that it was anything but what it showed itself to be. Why would it be? What is what it shows itself to be nowadays? Can you tell me, please? Like, send me links to things that actually are what they are at face value, because I need to collect them like they are fucking dinosaur bones or some, because like I cannot find stuff like that anymore. Like even video games. Like one of the things that's actually kind of kept me from uploading a lot is a lot of fucking video games just piss me off now. They're just like, they all seem like bullshit, like full of deception and trying to sell you something that's not true, and really are just in some way manipulating you, whether it's to buy a half-finished product or to buy something that like sells a sense of fulfillment but never actually gives it to you, and just kind of does the carrot on a stick thing the entire time, or takes it even further and tries to like emulate the effects of heroin, because that's a fucking thing. Like some of these, like, true story, a lot of this loot box shit, I don't know if anybody else knows this, and I'll make another video of this one time. A lot of this loot box shit came from studying the effects of heroin on the human brain. I remember reading a thing about this like back in 2011. So and I can't find that article anymore, so I think it's been like fucking wiped off the internet for clear reasons. But again, I'll talk about that another day. I'm already all over the place. And thank you to anybody who's actually been watching this entire thing. You are a true fan. Or a very patient human being. Anyways. So yeah, like, stop thinking that these fucking companies are your friends. They're not. Like, especially one that's fucking owned by PayPal. Jesus Christ. Like, are people brain dead? Like, okay, the extensions thing, maybe we'll write it off to age and time, and I'll just be like, I'm an old fuck, that shit's dust. But like, what about the PayPal is not a good company? Like, this is known. They fucking seize people's accounts all the time, or they used to. I'm sure it's still a thing. I haven't really heard it stopping. Wasn't it like a fucking thing with like Belle Delphine? Like, they fucking took her shit, and the only reason they gave it back was because she made a big deal about it and has like 1 million followers or something. And say what you want about her, but it's like, it was her fucking money. I mean, I don't get to fucking take money from, half these companies that do shittier things constantly, that's not even a fair comparison. So apologies to her. So don't take that as that. I'm just saying, like, no matter what your opinion is, you don't get to just fucking take money because you thought, oh, they didn't do it in a way that I approve of, or they didn't make it in a way I approve of. Like, even if it's fucking legal, it goes to the fucking government. But, and it has to be like a criminal thing for that to happen. What was I fucking talking about? I honestly don't remember. I just had to, I'm like pausing this so I can collect my thoughts. So I might edit this too. I don't know. We'll see. This is going to be a fucking mess, though. Don't fucking share this, please. I don't want this to go viral. This is not a great representation of anything, just listen to what I'm saying. You know, you don't even have to fucking like it. Just acknowledge it existed. And you can tell people what I said in your own words. It's just like, yeah, I'm blown away that people were blown away. I'm blown away that fucking influencers were using this. Oh, I was saying like Ethan Klein. Like, okay, so these all guys, like those dudes had to be around, right? I think that's where I was. And all right, so hopefully this all makes a lot of sense, or some sense. I think a lot of sense would be setting my hopes very high, unrealistically high. Now that I think about the video that I've just recorded. Yeah, consider this a rusty kind of like, whatever. It's gonna be a mess, but I'll give it a shot and fuck everything up and then build something better later, possibly by just correcting all the things that I fucked up. Anyways, hopefully I don't have to make a follow-up because I failed to explain something. But yeah, don't fucking assume. Stop assuming that these people are your friends. Stop thinking that you're gonna just get like free shit. This Pi extension, like, oh, what was I talking about? PayPal. Okay, so as I was saying, with Belle Delphine, right? They took her fucking money, and she didn't get it back because until she made like this big deal about it, and even then it took like forever. And they took a shit ton of money from her. And even if that doesn't matter to you because of the way that she made it, it's like this happens to people all the time for no fucking reason. It is a known thing that PayPal just fucking shuts down people's accounts arbitrarily, and they are known for not even telling me. I think even when she eventually got her money back, like they never even told Belle about this stuff, or like why her account was shut down. And there's all sorts of reasons that they can use. I mean, this shit's in the terms. Most companies that you interact with can just shut your shit down because they want to, and you agreed to it when you sign up with their terms and service. If you have Apple and you use their iPhone and iCloud stuff, I'm sure they could turn it off at any point. If you have any ISP, they could shut down your service. YouTube account could be shut down. I mean, I literally, these companies are not your friends. They'll never be your friends. Like, they're not on your side. They're on the side of money. You gotta think, what are they getting out of this? And that's the thing too. Like, I would love to see a day when that's not a thing that we have to think about. And I know I myself, if I ever had the opportunity to run a company, would not want to run it that way. I know though, in order to be able to even do that, it would have to not be a publicly traded company, right? Because the moment that stock markets become a thing, then you're beholden to this whole other set of rules, and it almost becomes impossible not to. And it enters this whole like Craven law, which is one of the few reasons why I kind of like Steam, even though there's plenty of reasons to not like them, is because of the fact that they're not publicly traded, and I feel like I can kind of, even if they're going to be scummy sometimes, still there's a level of trust that I have in that, just knowing what that whole system does to corporate intent, or creates from it, whatever you kind of want to say. But yeah, it like, so the one bit of the story that I mentioned at the beginning, I'll get into, is because it's relevant to this concept, is that, one of the reasons why I didn't get very far with YouTube and I wasn't able to make much from it or invest, like there were a lot of limiting factors, and I'm not gonna say like it wasn't my fault too. Like, I'm sure I could have done a lot of things differently. I just decided out of intent that I was going to go a different path. So it wasn't like I'm bitter about it or like I think I failed. I was just like, no, I'm going to do something different, and means stepping away from this for a while. Anyways, the main point though was part of that decision was because like when I was actually depending on the little income that I did make from YouTube or AdSense, because if some of you don't know, I also have a website, all the video game guide stuff, usually linked to an article on that site. Used to be on other places on the web, where I would make money from ads. I'm not even going to bother mentioning them actually, just in case, but most of it's now hosted on my own website that's existed for a while. It's just always been a work in progress. But one of the things that kept me from feeling very safe and able to, invest more time and money than I did, was this overriding constant paranoia that I had all the time. Because back then, AdSense, YouTube, and like, I don't know, there's another, basically like everything that I used could and would, and PayPal at one point, because I didn't have a bank account. So like sometime between 2011 and 2013, I remember I was like solely dependent on PayPal for having any sort of thing close to a bank. Long story again. But I remember like just living in this constant paranoia because like all these things could be taken away from me anytime, and I had no idea why. I keep seeing things every day where this is destroying other people's lives. They don't know why. They seem like totally fine, decent people. I can't imagine what they had done, and of course they'd never find out, and nobody else would. And I knew like there were certain things, like for example with AdSense, like I never talked about this for the longest time, even though it was something I was horrified by on the daily and was literally on my mind constantly throughout most of the stuff that I created, was that I knew that there were so many ways I could lose my AdSense account. All it took was like a few nefarious people to just like maliciously click on the ads on the YouTube video or on the website, or God forbid, like to have even just a handful of bots do it, to permanently remove my ability to have an AdSense account for life. And there were other things too, like if I ever mentioned how much I had made, even like kind of arbitrarily mentioned how much money I was making. I remember that used to be a rule: you could lose your AdSense account. And you lose your AdSense account even when I had a partner network, which was some shitty partner network that, fucking did nothing but just like sign people to kind of facilitate the whole, earning from gaming content problem that was a thing back when I started. Even having that, if I lost the AdSense account, I wouldn't be able to make money through them because they needed my AdSense account to run the ads to pay me. The website that I wrote for that I didn't own also did the same thing with AdSense. I had to have an AdSense account linked through them, but in my name to make any money whatsoever. So this one central point of failure, the AdSense thing, that alone, like there were so many things that some stranger could have done to take that away from me. I have no ability to even know it was happening until it was too late. And it would just be the decision of some automated system, and I'd never even hear from a human being. And at that point, I lived so far away from where Google's headquarters were, or any of their buildings were, that it's like I'd have to walk like fucking 2,500 miles to even come close to like having a conversation with somebody. And that's assuming that like I could just show up and ask somebody, hey, look at this, as opposed to getting like arrested on the fucking spot. So it felt like just being like I'm in the sea of people getting shot at, and I just gotta like run with the crowd and hope I don't get hit by bullets. Like that shit from fucking Saving Private Ryan. I mean, obviously it's like far less extreme because, I'm not trying to say it was really like that, but there, like on a metaphorical level, it was fucking harrowing. Like all the time I was stressed the fuck out. I ended up making me hate it to some degree. And it's part of why there were like these gaps where I would stop doing it, because it would just burn the fuck out, not from the content creation part, but from stressing about, am I going to lose everything, the little that I had? Because I'm like making, I swear to God, dude, I fucking must have been spending like at least 4 or 5 years making like less than $600 a month for sure. Um, like it was fucking abysmal, man. And God, I found cheap rent. Like, and I had people who were like really cool with like, I had a really great roommate who was basically like my bank when it came to rent. Like I have to like constantly pay him back. Though I managed to keep up with it. But it was still like I was always sort of like, if it wasn't for him fronting it, like I could have lost my fucking place to live. And like the only place I knew of that I could have gotten paid for without an AdSense account, that shut down in 2012, I think. But yeah. So yeah, these fucking places, these people are not your friends, man. I never felt like they were my friend. Everything that basically, everything that you know me through in some way or another has felt like I am in a hostage situation or am working against the tide at the best case. And that would be like, even then, there's still like this overlapping factor where it's like for example, thinking about like the website, my website that I was working on, like I used WordPress to build it. And at the time, it was just really rough to use the version of WordPress I was using. And I had to use it because of the way that I was building it. Is a whole thing. But the whole like is basically, this might not make sense to like almost anybody, but if there's even one person who kind of knows what I'm talking about, I use WordPress multi-site. It's something done intentionally because of the large number of images and content that's on the website. If it's all under one single core install, it gets to be a fucking mess. This is like database problem things that came up. I tried to revert it at one point, regretted it immediately, and then just went back to the multi-site thing. But multi-site for like up until like 2018 was not really well supported. I mean, you could find like plugins and stuff to work with, but like one of the problems was that, you know, anything that you paid for usually charged you per install, and they'd count a multi-site as multiple installations when it's not. It's a single installation that just uses these tricks to like make it look like it's more than one, but in reality it's a single one. Anyways, I've definitely broke my promise not to ramble on the different topics at this point, so I'm not going to get into that too much. But it was like this whole thing where, you know, the only reason that running things on my own website became viable is because eventually, you know, the support started to accept that this existed, and, you know, these premium plugins that I depended on eventually started giving, or at least like there were enough of them that some of them were able to offer like proper multi-site licenses that didn't cost like a shit ton of fucking money. Anyways, but like that's one of those cases where it's like, okay, I didn't feel like it was like exactly like PayPal, because WordPress is like a whole different ecosystem, but I was still working against the tide. That's what I was getting into that for. But if it wasn't that, then it was like a hostage situation where it's like, you know, fucking PayPal or AdSense. I mean, these things basically are monopolies. Like, if I lost AdSense, who the fuck was I going to sign up for to serve ads? I mean, for one, sponsorships didn't even exist back then on YouTube, unless you were like fucking PewDiePie or something. Like, you had to be that big. And, you know, this was when he was like literally like the #1 YouTuber or whatever at the time. So for frame of reference for the younger folks, you're watching the old man show. So I'm not a fucking boomer, so don't fucking call me that. Um, that one annoys me because it's like, yo, look, I got fucking tons of shit from boomers. Like, do not lump me in with that group. Uh, I have my own beef with them. So yeah, maybe I'll just leave all this bullshit in. Hopefully, it's fucking entertaining for the sake of it. An hour long uh, ramble and brief random stories inspired by this honey thing, which I haven't probably even talked about in the past 30 minutes at this point. I literally, I just, I don't want to lose respect for anybody over this. I really don't. There's so many people over time where I've lost respect for that I used to, and it was like, man, like I'm so burnt out. I like give me a few people to hold on to. And I also don't want to be like overly critical and judgmental. And I'm definitely not calling anybody out. Nor does anybody watch my channel, so it's not like anybody cares. Uh, but I just don't want to be a dick. And it's just like, but how the fuck am I supposed to take this seriously? That this was a surprise. What the fucking pre-coupon app is not just giving you the coupons it says it is. They're doing something on the DL. Duh. Like, no fucking shit. In what world do they not? Like, man, I remember, like, I saw okay, so I remember, okay, see, like, honey show up in a few YouTube places, right? Then I saw it probably a few more times earlier this year, and I was like, that's when I sort of started to remember it as a thing. I'm like, okay, like, like, why is this being sponsored so often? Like, this is like, my frame of reference is this is just some like fucking bullshit. Like, who's installing this? Um, and like, and again, like, if the whole fucking selling point was because Gen Z is so savvy, they'll find the coupons anyways. It's like, well, weren't they already figuring out where to get them from? I mean, I don't know what that process was. Maybe like I at a certain point, what I started doing to find coupons and shit was just like fucking searching YouTube for the sponsor. Like I think I looked up a display one that way, or I just like remembered the last time I had seen it, and I was like, oh yeah, it was this YouTube. And what I started doing actually is just started making like a little text file of like YouTuber links, and so I save them just in case I ever want to come back to them. Like, because there's been a few where it's like I wanted to get something, I'm like, oh shit, I know I saw a YouTuber like give a 50% off thing for this one, so I couldn't remember at the time. Um, and I know like I'm kind of behind the times usually on things, so I figured there's got to be a better way. I just don't know of yet. It's on TikTok or something, but I can't see it because I haven't trained my algorithm. God, I fucking hate the internet now. It's a little bit of everything in this video. A little bit of rambling, a little bit of just random fucking stories that are unrelated, and then a little bit of like internal view into my soul as it dies inside. Okay. Hold on. Yeah. So, anyways, I think at this point I've just sort of resolved to be like, I'm just gonna kind of ramble. We'll make it a 2-in-1 special. We got the first half is me bitching about honey and why everybody's so shocked about it. And am I really that old? Uh, having my third life crisis. It's not mid yet. Whatever you want to call it. Or just getting it out of the way early. I don't think it's really like at this point. If I really am that fucking old, it's like no going back. But anyways, I'm gonna still be here cursing and what's the word? Watch me as I stare off into space. Incredulent? I think I'm using that right. Incredulous. I'm gonna be incredulous about this. It's like, really, come on, guys, man. Some of you are old enough to know. You gotta fucking know. I can't be the only person on fucking YouTube with like over 2,000 followers that has like, because I've seen some very like, I've seen small channels talk about it. I've seen big channels talk about it. I've seen old people talk about it. I've seen young people talk about it. And everyone's fucking shocked. Except for like maybe Legal Eagle, who's just fucking suing them. And I don't even, I mean, he's just pissed. Which I like that guy. So shout out to him. It's like, man, what the fuck? It really is just like one of those things where like it's like a fashion statement thing or like fashion styles. You know, they're old or they go out of style and then just wait a long enough time for everyone to fucking forget that it existed and then now it's like retro. Except this time, people don't even fucking remember the first thing. So it's not even really retro, they think it's new again. And it's like, no, it's not. And what's funny too was like the whole honey thing. And then hearing about this pie extension owned by the same people or same dude, whatever. And apparently, so if you don't know, like, so the honey thing, well, just in case you haven't heard about the honey thing, it basically like it steals affiliate codes by like changing the referral link that you're using. So anytime you interact with it, like replaces this code that would otherwise pay somebody else that you clicked a link through or the YouTuber who sent you to a thing. Basically, you're like stealing everybody's money. And I don't use that for YouTube, but I have used it in certain instances in the past. So it would actually even steal from somebody like me who's never even talked about fucking honey. Because like on the website, at least at certain points in times, there was like Amazon affiliate links back when some of those games were still being sold as discs. Steam doesn't do an affiliate program because they don't fucking have to, which I don't blame them. Why, offer an affiliate program? People are already coming to your shit. So you're like, fuck you, I don't need you. But I put the links to Steam there anyways, just to make sure people know where to get the games. But if there was like an affiliate option, I would use it as like an additional link and, be like, hey, we do get some money. And it wasn't really like, I don't think we even ever made anything from it because realistically, like if somebody's on that website, they own the game already. They're not going to look for guides for a game that they don't already own. So why would they buy it through that link, But it was mostly there just for reference because I didn't want to just make a guide. I wanted to be more like a wiki, or what a wiki is, or Wikipedia is rather, but an alternative to the community edited wikis, which are often out of date, just shitty, and of course have that wiki style format, which sometimes works and sometimes is just fucking appalling. But anyways, especially when it's on the media wiki site, which I hate. Or I don't know whatever they fucking call themselves, the one that like owns like 80% of the video game wikis, because they've made that a whole business strategy. My mouth is getting dry. Oh yeah, so I was talking about this pie thing, right? So as we were just talking about, Honey does this whole thing where they replace the affiliate links. That's how they screw everybody over. And they also screw over you as a customer because they're actually giving you the best coupon codes. They're like, it's the ones that the store agrees to Honey giving you. So it's basically like the store is just kind of patronizing you with that shit. They're like, we're just giving you this because if we don't, we figure you'll use something else. And that's of course why there like a lot of times where there's shows that there aren't supposedly when there are coupon codes available, because of course there should almost always be. Because when you combine like email lists and YouTube sponsorships and everything, there's always got to be something going on. I mean, companies don't just shut down their marketing departments for weeks or months at a time. Like they're always doing something. Um, anyways, uh, like I don't know. I'd like to understand. I mean, I imagine I'm not going to see people talk about this publicly, but I would at some point like to have someone explain to me, like, really, like, is it just not a thing that was thought about much? Which I guess is probably the easiest and simplest answer. Um, and Occam's razor, right? But it's also too like like why not like just think it through a little bit? Like, what is this thing doing? Why would it be doing that? Anyways, I guess getting scatterbrained. Uh, but I was getting to the point of talking about this pie thing, right? So Honey does the affiliate links. Pie apparently is this other app by the same person that does it by replacing advertisements. And it's like you get paid to watch their advertisements when they swap in their own over whatever that website's displaying, which is basically just stealing from, every website and content producer out there, which, honestly, I'll admit most of the web pages that still exist today are fucking shit. So it's hard to feel sympathy for a lot of places that are just producing clickbait. But I mean, just fucking hide the ads then. Why like view ads from some other shitty company? I mean, okay, yeah, they're paying you, but like again, like all like even all right, so there was the whole thing I was talking about with these extensions, and I just mentioned that earlier. There are other things that I'm pretty sure still exist online today to some degree. Maybe you have to like kind of dig for them. But there are things that used to pay you for like surveys and watching like things. You kind of have to like at least do a little bit of searching to find them even back then. But it was like, again, like if you're looking to make pennies for your time, because there's no way that this thing is going to pay you like a shit ton of money or anything really worth it. I'm living in the United States at least, to watch these ads. Um, and even then, like if you don't live in the United States, like dude, like fucking get a World of Warcraft account and do some gold farming. Like I'm sure you'll make more money doing that than getting paid to watch advertisements. Dude, I don't get paid shit to show people advertisements. So why would any of you guys get paid to watch them? I really don't. Like literally, it's like 1,000 people might be $1, maybe. And even then, it's like kind of hit or miss. And it's like maybe it gets better if like I were to like make this my fucking career and sell out and just like open the door for whoever wants to fucking throw me money. But then it's like, okay, so it's like $3 maybe or $4. Like it's still like, and these are like, I think some of that might even be for like these 30-second ads that you can't skip. They're just all fucking garbage, dude. I know using so I have actually used AdWords before. I don't know what they call it now, but it's the other side of AdSense, the one where you actually pay to display the ads. Uh, I know it's more expensive than it used to be, but still, the last I checked was like it's like 25 cents, 50 cents if you're really spending big. And even like places that are fucking exorbitant, like Amazon, because I know a little bit about what Amazon's PPC is, or what they call pay per click. Um, because there's some stuff that I remember reading online about that. Like that can be at most like 60 cents, which for an advertiser can be kind of expensive. But for you, like that's fucking nothing. Like you can't give like what are you gonna do? Like you can't get gum for that. I mean, and that's even assuming, and there's no way that they even give you that whole amount. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get something like, okay, I saw some stuff. Was it the original guy who did the honey thing? The honey expose was like he tested how honey does this cashback thing, where it like pays you, uh, like to use the coupons or something, with these points. and like each point's worth like a cent. Basically, he tested it by using his own referral link for NordVPN with honey and without honey. With honey, without honey, like he got paid like $35 for his sign up, right? When he used honey, of course, honey stole the referral, so they took that $35. And the points that they gave back to him through the honey app was 89 cents. So 89 cents on $35 is 3% of what they make. So if we assume like one of these like really expensive Amazon ads at 60 cents per ad, or let's like even double it and say that's like for a video ad that's unskippable and like a minute long, like $1.20, which I don't believe actually is that much, but that's sort of like, let's say optimistically. So if it's going through, like I know AdSense takes like 40%, like right off the top or something. So the website would only get 60%. So that 60% is now what's going to the Pi app for being the middleman. So they're making 60% of the 60 cents, or $1.20, sorry. So that would be, math in my head. Okay, let's say 72 cents roughly. Yeah, 72 cents. Then now 3% of that 72 cents would be 1.5 cents for watching a minute ad. And if you watch an ad every minute for an hour, you might make 90 cents. Yeah, 90 cents for an hour of watching ads. Is that really fucking worth it to anybody? Like, just fucking block them. Like, and on top of that, that's assuming that these apps don't at some point pivot and start selling your data, or if they haven't already been doing that this entire time and that wasn't even part of the expose. Because this is the thing, I've already predicted this in comments that I've left places elsewhere. Even if this whole honey thing kind of gets shut down, if they find any way at all of continuing to allow their app to exist in people's browsers, they might even say, fuck it, like we don't even have a backup service to provide if they can't for some reason do the coupon thing. Let's say that whole part gets shut down and they have to completely change what honey does. They could just say like, fuck it, we'll just leave the app broken, and a certain percentage of people will just never uninstall it and occasionally interact with it, or just like do something so it kind of like goes a little bit away, but then now is just silently, passively watching what you're doing, or putting like a Facebook pixel in your pages, and is now being sold as like a more effective way of tracking your browsing history from page to page, right? Because we know that they already try to do that through things like Facebook Pixel, but they still have to have, one, like there still has to be this sort of correlation of data from multiple sources to track your browsing history across, or like they have to leave a cookie and if you block that. But like if you have a fucking app installed into Chrome, that's like a backdoor for them. So they could just say, all right, we already squeezed all the money out of this referral stealing scheme. Let's just fucking harvest people's data. Like, and for that to be the backup option is just like, that I thought we were already trying to avoid. And we're now using apps that it's like, that's the less shitty thing that they could have been doing. At least legally speaking. What the fuck? Have I done enough drugs at this point in my life that everybody else is high and I'm not? Like, through some sort of weird osmosis / equilibrium thing, like which even that is fucking extreme because I don't do that much drugs. Like I am not some fucking like mini Keith Richards. If anything, quite the opposite. Like I smoke weed occasionally and that's it. And it's legal now, so I can say that. But like, come on, man. That is fucking bananas. Not that it exists, but just that people were surprised. And then, now people were talking about pie, like, oh, watch out. Like, and it's like, well, I guess, yeah, you do have to warn people. If honey fucking took on, then I could imagine that this pie thing will too. But like, does anybody who use that like really stop to kind of consider like, and maybe you don't know, and if you don't know, there's nothing wrong with being ignorant. Now you do, like, or spend some time looking up. And if this is the first time you've ever heard of it, I'm sorry that I have to be the first person to tell you, but these people are not your friends. Stop thinking of them as like the next time something like this comes around, like just be paranoid about it. Do not trust it. Make them earn your trust. A decent company should, anyways. A decent company run by a decent person would understand that the field that they're in is full of fucking scumbags and they need to do something to establish a trust with you. And it won't be with empty promise. It'll be something real. And they're going to do something that will be surprising at the very least because it's not common. Because so much of what is out there, like the baseline is kind of shitty and scammy at this point. I mean, at least in my fucking experience. And last I checked, it did seem to think, I did seem to think that people were sort of, saw more people feeling the same things I did with, the thing I was mentioning earlier about Google search and just other programs. I mean, fucking Adobe was a thing recently. I hate them too. They were pissing me off for years. So yeah, man, just like, and hopefully, a lot of people who watch this channel don't trust these sort of things. That would be kind of cool. Maybe we're all a bunch of fucking old people hanging out together. That would be nice. But also at the same time, if you did, like, hey, I don't fucking feel any sort of way about it. Like, I'm not trying to talk shit about the people who did install it. I just like, I am just a little bit shocked by it. And again, mostly just the influencers, right? It's not you guys. It's like these people who definitely seem to have had the time or at least the money to make it worth the time to spend to just think about it a little bit more. And some of those people have dealt with shady, uh, companies that try to get sponsorships, I'd imagine. I've gotten fucking emails from people that's like, wow, this is not, I mean, I don't even have to look into this. This is not trustworthy. Um, so, uh, yeah, man, it's the thing. I hope this has been an interesting, however long amount of your time. Dear Lord, I need to cut this out. I'm trying to think, like, what should I wrap this up on? Don't trust these people. Don't trust apps like this. And just in case we have to go through the whole gamut of like bringing the old shit back, other things that you shouldn't trust. If the next browser extension that they try to sell you is one that just earns you money while you browse by using some of your computer power, it's mining crypto and it's scamming you. If it's, I don't know, giving you surveys, then it's probably middlemaning you these other survey companies which still pay shit, but you could just sign up with directly and get paid a little bit less shitty. Because those online survey things are, again, like, you kind of have to, I think I briefly touched on them earlier, but like if you even did find them today, it'd probably still be the same that I remember, whereas like you kind of have to like be like a factory pumping them out, and even then you kind of only get like a little bit better than minimum wage if you're lucky. Um, but like, yeah, if it's doing that, then obviously it's selling your data. I guess that's probably the most, but it's still probably middlemaning it and taking a larger cut than they ought to, because that's really like the gold mine, and always has been with the digital tech world. It's like, how can we make something that takes a disproportionate amount of money, like, out of what would be going to other people, and keep it for ourselves, right? That's exactly what honey does. Honey is nothing new about that. It's just the most mask off thing according to all the popular YouTube influencers, at least today. Because again, for me, like, if you ask me, I'd be like, I still think this is something that shouldn't even be on the radar. It just happens to be because, like I said, good marketing campaign. I got fucking annoyed. I started seeing the ads for honey show up on my bank at one point, and they were trying to get me to install this browser extension. I was like, what the? That was like the most what the fuck moment for me, just because I was like, how did the people working for my bank think this was a good idea to partner with them? Was it like because they're with PayPal? Is it because like the only thing that's really different from this extension and the ones that I remember in the past is like it looks better, which again is like just this Web 3.0. Like everything looks better now because it's just easier. Like computers are more high powered, so you can put rounded edges on every fucking, thing, and like HTML or just the coding to build websites is so advanced. I mean, CSS didn't used to exist like it does. I mean, everything used to be like made in fucking front page and was awful. Yeah, I don't know. I keep getting into like these weird thought tangents about this. But yeah, so don't trust the thing mining crypto. It's nefarious, and it's probably going to steal your crypto keys if you have any on your computer. God, what else? What else are they going to fucking bring back possibly? Hope, well, pop-ups at least I think are gone for good, because that's sort of like a thing that most blockers or most browsers block by default. But I'm sure they'll fucking figure out something to like at least like be the child of that, like some new version of, maybe it'll be like something that like well, I mean, they already actually have, they do pop-ups actually still now. They just do it's like those things that come up on news websites when you're trying to read an article for free and they don't want you to, and like you can see it for a second and then all of a sudden goes away. And which, by the way, if you use like uBlock or something, you can pick the elements on the screen and block them and then reload the page, and it should stop it from doing that. Doesn't always work, but some websites it does work for. And it's good to like pay for stuff that you support, but like again, sometimes you just want to make sure that you're not being bullshitted, and you shouldn't have to fucking pony up first to make sure you're not getting scammed by somebody. Anyways, I've never, I know I like to some degree have relied upon ads. I've never hated people for using ad blockers. I know I have to use them myself. Ironically, originally I had to use them because it was one of those things that I was talking about with losing AdSense. I couldn't watch my own ads. If I watch my own ads, like, okay, so you're not allowed to click on your own ads. If you do, it's a bad thing, right? So I use ad blockers on my website when I'm building it just to make sure I don't accidentally click on them. It's just so paranoid that even accidentally clicking on it once could, put me in trouble. And again, I'm working on my website constantly, so if it happens once, it'll happen more than once. But I was really paranoid about that, so I use ad blocker on my website just to make sure I never saw them unless I was, testing to make sure they displayed correctly. So I turn it off very briefly, then turn it back on again. If I was, or so those you have to click on those so I could at least like see them display without it being a problem. With the YouTube stuff, the rule was you couldn't even watch the stuff on your YouTube. So I had to use it all the time on YouTube just in case I came across my own video. I wouldn't want to accidentally watch like a pre-roll or something, because you don't have to click on it. Just watching the pre-roll counts as the click. So technically that could be enough again to get my shit fucking taken away from me. So for the longest time it was a necessity, and I don't know. I know that it's probably not at all as much of a concern anymore because people aren't really using fake clicks to generate money anymore because it's just not worth it. Uh, but like, I don't even know if the rules ever changed on that. I imagine they probably haven't. Though, ironically, YouTube makes it very difficult for me to not see my own ads with the way that they keep interrupting block. So it's this whole fucking thing. And again, like, and they don't give a fuck that they put me in this situation where I'm kind of like, what do you want me to do? They're not my friends. I exist here because they haven't decided to fucking kick me out for no reason yet. And they could kick me out for a reason or no reason. Maybe this is the reason. Hopefully. I mean, plenty of other people have talked worse shit. So, and I don't think I'm like particularly stand out in any way, other than the like oddities maybe of the way they talk about stuff, but it's nothing worth like taking action about. I figure this is a good chance I might eventually get age gated on stuff because I curse a lot, but I don't really care about that. But yeah, I can't really think of any other good examples. I imagine I'll probably think of some after I've done it uploading this video and be like, fuck, I wish I added it to that. So check out the comments section. And if I do add any additional thoughts, I'll probably leave them there and like pin them or something, or in the description or whatever. Don't share this video, please. I don't want it to get viral or popular. I never want to be viral or popular. And seriously, don't do that because I said, or don't just do that because I'm saying don't do the reverse psychology thing. I'm very serious. Like, please don't share it. Like, a couple people, but like, don't fucking put this on Reddit and shit. Like, nobody cares. Reddit pisses me off. So I don't want a bunch of Redditors on this video. This is gonna be fucking annoying for me. Make me want to do this even less. But yeah, at least a few people appreciate this sort of thing. I do intend to do like more rambly stuff in the future. I don't know when I'll get back to doing video game guide stuff. When I do start doing it again, I'm definitely going to take a different approach. There is some stuff on the website I still need to finish up that I never finished, like porting over from the old, off-site pages. Like, I know there's some Battlefield Gothic shit, and Remnant from the Ashes I need to finish, which is, thank God, those games are so old that I don't think anybody ever cares. Just in case somebody does, I never forgot about it. It's just like so many fucking things happen. And yeah, but whatever I'm going to be doing on YouTube though, I don't really care if it makes money. Because that was the whole thing. I'll talk about it again in its own thing, but that was part of the reason why I stopped doing YouTube for a long time, is because I needed to figure out something else for the monetary stuff, and then I wanted to come back to YouTube when I could just do it as more of like a hobby thing, slash like, passion project, whatever. That might be overselling it. Is again the lack of editing and shit. But although on that note, I will start looking at how to edit videos and stuff soon, or like paying somebody to do that. If there's anybody who's watching this or knows my content, on the off chance that it was like 1 in a million, but if there's somebody who does like this stuff and does like video editing or knows a lot about it, feel free to like leave a comment or like reach out. I'd definitely be willing to have a conversation about that. I probably could pay somebody somewhat. I mean, it's not gonna be like life changing, but it could be decent for some people. And I definitely want to make sure that anybody tolerating that is like, it's worth their while. Anything else I can think of? Yeah, don't trust these people. Don't install fucking browser extensions unless you fucking have a use for them. And like the most honest ones are going to be people who just like ask for donations and stuff. And if you have the money to donate, just send them, do that. I like. There's a few browser extensions I use to do like the send a coffee thing. I wasn't able to in the past, but now that I can, I have. So I've been trying to go back to a lot of things that I've used over time, and like, you know, I know I used like WinRAR for like fucking decades. And I always used the trial versions, and I finally bought like a real version just a few years ago. I'm glad that I did, just because it's like, yeah, I got a lot of use out of it. And it does what I expect it to, and doesn't fucking like upload my shit to the cloud when I don't want it to, or like everything fucking Microsoft does nowadays. But yeah, hopefully you'll see more of me in the future. I was gonna do like, this is gonna be so stupid and be like, oh, let me talk over video game content. But I figured this would actually be better. So people could see my facial expressions as I expressed my irritation and disappointment. And yes, I am still alive. I don't plan on dying anytime soon. Hopefully, those plans play out. Thank you for tolerating this excruciatingly long ramble. All right, so there was one more thing I had to fucking add to this. Don't trust if a very rich, wealthy, powerful company makes something overly sweet and appealing, you should find it a reason to be more suspicious. The whole honey thing, like the name, the cute logo, the way that it was designed, like, just, I don't know, it screams suspicious to me, and I would hope that others can find a way to start looking at that as suspicious as well. It's hard to maybe communicate that fully to somebody who might be like, why would that be suspicious? And that's something I'll definitely have to like, this is why I kind of want to make these videos, is because there's a lot of thoughts I think I need to share that might help others just navigate the world. Just don't, in the meantime, don't fucking trust honey, don't trust sugar baby, don't trust boo sweetie pie, like, and also, like, for fuck's sake, like, honey and now pie, honey pie. I saw somebody talking about pie, they didn't make that fucking connection. Like, that is so obvious to me. Like, it's like, even the fact that we have to have this whole second investigation into like what the Pi app is, when they're so clearly with their marketing saying this is a continuation. In fact, it's not even a continuation, it's the second half of the fucking word, like, or conjunction, whatever the fuck, like, they're not even trying anymore. Like, they really aren't. And all that cute shit isn't them trying. That's... that part isn't them necessarily trying to manipulate you. That's just making them easier for the manipulation to already happen to pass through your system. It's like a laxative. Like, the honey part isn't there to trick you. It's there like, no, this is shit. We're just moving it through you like a little bit quicker. Or less abrasively or something. God damn, though. Like, maybe I should have been doing something on YouTube all this time just to like maybe my thing was like the whole wrong idea. But even then, it's not like I fucking had the money or time to do anything else. So, lost cause. But anyways, maybe this will become the new thing, or at least something that I do for a while until I find a reason to find it insufferable. Um, that goddamn. I've never understood this, like this space. I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't fucking know. I understand obviously enough to like talk about what I talked about, but like why is why am I not hearing what I'm saying from someone else? You know what I mean? Like why is there all this shock? Why is there all this surprise? Uh like and not even from like eternally optimistic people either. Like some of these people are fucking cynics and they're still like, what? I hope that's not like a thing that's just had to like I hope this is something that's become so normalized that like this is like a song and dance that has to happen in every corner of the creator space that deals with sponsors or sponsorships. That would be abysmal. Um, anyways, enough about this like deeply depressing like things. What it means for yeah, I don't know. Fuck it. I'll see you guys again sometime.